Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Weekly Geek with... I almost forgot it.
No.
Incredible! No! I hunger for plasma. I took it through my hands. I could feel it coursing through his skin right into my fingers. I must be...
I won't do the full thing. It's going for 4 seconds. But yeah, the Plasma Boys are here. Talking about no plasma this week. We're talking about a lot of other things. I am the Iceman, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
I am this bitch and that bitch, Dylan Muss.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for multiple reasons to talk to you about that. And I have a not even good story, just some facts. But yeah, we got some kind of the ending of CinemaCon. CinemaCon is much like, not exactly. Definitely Comic-Con's better, but it's in that sense of you never know how much news you're going to get, how much news you're not going to get. Funny enough, one of the topics we're talking about tonight, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we were supposed to talk about that like a few days ago. I just completely forgot. Bad host to just bring it up. So it kind of
I thought you intentionally booted that to Weekly Geek. Okay.
No,
okay.
I saw it after the show. I'm like, oh, I did not talk about that at all. But that's fine. It's we're just talking about a few things. So about some Superman clips. We're going to talk about that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood trailer. It's funny that that's a meme for us. We're going to get there. But
Sorry, was there a trailer for Once Upon a Time?
No. Maybe I misspoke. Sorry, sequel.
Okay.
No,
I was like,
they,
the one trailer I didn't watch, the one I should have watched. Okay, okay.
They're
I'm
all
with you,
back. No, and then some trailers. Because there's lots of CinemaCon stuff, but nothing really got released. I imagine that Fantastic Four trailer that they got, because apparently they actually showed Silver Surfer. I imagine we're getting that soon, and there's other stuff. So I kind of thought we'd get something like even Tron Ares from the Disney panel, because usually these panels will pick like, okay, we're not going to maybe drop everything, but let's release one trailer out there, and Disney didn't really do that. So, and luckily it was an Avatar, because I don't think, I don't hate Avatar as much as you, but I don't think we're the right people for that. That has to drop.
Yeah, I don't want to stir up any YouTube haters with my thoughts on that. So.
Yeah, that has to drop. I'm not sure if you heard their newscast, but they've retitled themselves to the Beckinsale Boys. So when we did that whole podcast to team name,
Kirkland's a Beckinsale. That's like a good Taylor nickname, but why would Kirkland get roped into that?
I don't know. I guess just because they didn't maybe like the way the 2000s sound, even though it's like we didn't appoint these names to them. They were in the room when we made these nicknames. So, but I
just feel like I don't associate Kirkland with Beckinsale at all.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
But I guess they were talking and they're both juicing about some Beckinsale news, one cast. So there you go. But even that, me and Kirkland, we've renamed ourselves from the Creed Boys to the Perk Boys, because one, in honor of yeah, Kurt Angle. Long story. Everyone knows wrestling's fan. But also, we still are bonded by Creed. But I think unfortunately, with this podcast, when you hear Creed, you think of Assassin's Creed, Geek's Creed. Look out. Hopefully, if Taylor can find the man, coming back for an episode July, so.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, next week we got to really try to, Taylor's back in town. This is fourth wall. We really got to try and do that, our investors meeting. Because
we've been meaning to do that, haven't we?
Yeah, because news been drawn. But like I got stuff mapped out for the 10-year. But yeah, we're in our 10-year, fastly approaching. August is not that far away, and lots of things. Like even just in a couple weeks, Last of Us. That's not. I was reminded, because you and I are going to talk about trailer day, not Last of Us, but I was reminded by that's coming out. And then for the
you keep throwing trailers that I think I didn't watch at me, and I'm like,
no,
oh my
Last
God,
of Us.
I'm not prepared for this.
Now I've just tried to smoothly transition into what's coming up here at GeekVerse. We got that. We got Andor coming up. For the Gimmick Boys, we got WrestleMania coming up. That's gonna WrestleMania in our draft. Cool. If people like wrestling at all, if you haven't heard, the Gimmick, it's starting in May, will go bi-weekly. Its own feed is now up and running. I've not promoted it yet, but we got its own feed there. And that's going to be a draft that I need to prepare for, because S-Bubs won last year, and I was kind of because it would have been great, because I won video game draft, movie draft, and the Marvel draft. So I could have really maybe won that, and then maybe
you won the wrestling match at least, or the GM mode.
Yeah, suck it, S-Bubs. Yeah, does that still sting, S-Bubs out there? But April, tons of stuff going on. Me and Dylan are going to be reviewing Black Mirror season 7. Me and the other boys, unless Dylan wants to jump on, but me and the other boys are going to be reviewing the final season of You. That's coming out. Yeah, I didn't think so. And then, so April is just loaded, and then we're starting to get into movie season. We got, I guess not, is there any big game releases I'm missing in April? I know May, we got Doom coming up. I'm excited for that. And then we got Death Stranding in June. So we got some big stuff coming. But is there something
Is South of Midnight Expedition 33, but not like, like you probably forget what some of those games are. Even.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that game, though. So, yeah, so.
Yeah, a couple things. Nothing huge.
Yeah, but yeah, and promote that. I'm not sure when it's dropping. Also, didn't talk to Dylan. We have not had any meetings this week, but at some point in the next, I'd say, I actually don't know. You're getting side quests at some point with me and Dylan dropping the Switch 2.
Dropping early for the Switch 2. Yeah.
So me and Dylan are going to break that down. I'm excited because there's been a lot of scuttlebutt around that announcement, as always with game console releases, right? Like, it's never, like, I think maybe the smoothest one, and that's why they're so successful, is probably the PS4. I feel like that's the only one that's ever gone with a fling of like, oh, they did everything perfect, and that's like created a dynasty, you know? But yeah, so main thing is just subscribe, video feeds, audio feeds, Patreon. We'd very much appreciate you get this episode and every episode ad-free. Exclusive episodes, we got retrospectives where we review movies. We got After 9, which will be, I'm waiting on Kirkland. He just ghosted me today. All of us are ready to announce the date of the top secret movie night, but Kirkland has not responded, so blame him. Tweet at him, jump in the Discord to bug him. But yeah, it's the best way to support us because we do multiple casts like this, side quest, the bonus reviews, everything. So we very much appreciate it. And if you can't, just subscribe here. We got lots of stuff. Really, April, I feel like, is that start of that busy period where we got April till I'd say like the week of our 10 year, which is like the first 2 weeks of August, where we're just going to be working like dogs. But I hope
dog
you
in the
enjoy
yard.
it all. Yeah, like a dog in the yard. So yeah, we're going to talk about Superman. Funny enough, because I had warned these guys that said, hey, we ended up doing a newscast anyways because there was tons of stuff. But I said, oh, Tuesday, they got the panel, so we'll do this. And there's other stuff so we talked about, but no Superman stuff. And then they announced, okay, Minecraft's going to have a 5-minute preview, which, like, that's kind of a cheat. Like, there's some stuff that's not exactly a preview, but still, that's happening. And then I think it was around 12:45 PST today that the clips were popping off everywhere. And I found out about it after the fact because I was looking at all these links and it was all like strike, strike, strike. And then I found one tweet that was still up and I recorded it. I don't care. I'll admit it now. I recorded it because I didn't put it. I didn't put it out there, but I was like, we're going to talk about this. It's out there. But luckily or unluckily for them, which they kind of had to think like, we're in 2025. That's very hard to pull off, like to say, hey, you're going to put a preview in front of a movie and then it's going to go up there, because I feel like that's something that I've heard many people on podcasts say, where it's like, oh, remember the days when we used to get previews just on movies first, and then, we didn't see them online or anything first. You had to go see a Marvel movie to see the next Marvel movie or whatnot. But I think that's why, because studios just don't want their stuff up in like a 480, very pixely bad sound thing. It's like, it's a great way to think about it, but it's like, we're in a whole different generation. But so James Gunn tweeted out, just released it. Now, this happened at a time where I was gone, and I think if you and I talked about, then it was like in passing, because even when we did my last cast before the break was the 2025 preview, and we didn't have a trailer or anything like that. Up in this point, have you seen like the first trailer for Superman?
I don't think I did.
Okay,
I think I've seen a teaser maybe.
Okay, so this is like some kind of raw, just right off the top.
This is the first time I'm seeing Corn Sweat in action.
Yeah, and for me it's good because I've really not talked much about this movie at all because I was away for all like the trailer and everything that came out. So I don't even think I gave my full opinion on the trailer or anything like that. So you're getting some fresh thoughts here, but I'm interested because this was like the back half was like extended stuff from that trailer, and then the first half was like a full scene. So Dylan, I know you're somebody that was been iffy, and I think now you're more on the side if you're gonna skip it or maybe see it at home if we talk about Golden Geeks. But how was this to kind of get like a taste and feel for what James Gunn's putting out there come this July?
Yeah, I think there's a few things with this. I feel like there's a lot going on in this movie, and maybe it's because I've just been slightly more tapped out of the news, but just seeing like a ton of random characters, and I don't know who a lot of these people are. And I'm seeing like gray, like Drax looking aliens. I'm seeing some lady with a mace flying around, and I know you got Lex Luthor and crew in there, and like the people that I expect. But then there's just a ton of other like robots. I don't even know there's robots in these Superman movies. Like, is that a thing normally? I'm not sure.
In the comics, no, they haven't done it in the movies, but they have in the comics, and I'd say that's a theme for this. Is a lot of this stuff has not been in movies, but that is James Gunn, who's a very big, obviously, comic book guy that I think is like, I feel like you can see they're
nose
really
in the
going
pages
for,
kind of guy.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, it seems like there's a lot going on. Seems like it's going to be a fun time for the people who are seeing it, but it didn't move the needle for me. It didn't kill my hype, but I also have zero hype, so it's like it can't kill what doesn't exist,
It's kind of I was gonna say, if it didn't kill the hype, because you didn't have the hype. I'm trying to say the other route is at least maybe it didn't make it look like awful. Could I say that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would not expect it to be awful because it's Superman. It's a character people love, and it's James Gunn, who's made a bunch of great movies. I guess maybe I don't want this to be just Guardians in terms of like a 1-to-1, and obviously he did 3 of those. But I feel like this was going for some humory things in there, and some like physical humor with the dog stuff, and then like the robots and their little funny little quips. But like I didn't really find any of it that funny or like charming. And then obviously it's like, as you said, it's kind of half preview, half, or maybe like 75% preview, and then 25% just like quick shots, like classic trailer sort of stuff, but not even really laying out the plot, more just like quick little snippets here and there. So, I'm sure the hardcore fans pause every frame are going to find all sorts of juice in there. But yeah, it didn't really move the needle for me, unfortunately. I didn't really expect it to, but I was maybe hoping that, okay, I've loved James Gunn's last 3 movies, so maybe I could be swayed when I actually get a trailer in there, and this one was pretty meaty. 5 minutes is enough to win me over if it was able to, but it was not. So yeah, I'm not too bummed about it. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, no. So for me, I liked the initial trailer, but there are certain things, and people have talked about this before, like shot wise, not so much in this, but there's just certain. I appreciate they're going for. I think he's going for a certain type of tone. I feel like it's trying to do like a new retro where he's trying to make it look kind of old but new again. And that there's some stuff where even where was it back in that trailer, the first one, they show a lot of Metropolis. I was forgetting what the city was called, and it looked like there's just some lighting or color grading that I didn't. I would never say it looked cheap, but it just looked like a style that I wasn't enjoying. Okay. So I don't know if that's just because it's more the city stuff, whatever they're doing there. Obviously, it's not a finished product, so there's a long ways away. I will say that this actually luckily raised it for me. I thought that the trailer, the first one, was very well made, but I had some issues. This, I think, is just kind of, I guess, the tone setting. I think there's some stuff with the humor that I go, okay, I could go one way or another, but I think there's just certain things that I liked. A lot of the blocking of this, of like Superman was always, I know this sounds stupid, but there's great shots I'll point out when I bring up the thing, like him in the center and then like big things around him, whether it was the robot or the actual like, just Fortress of Solitude. I think that's the two things I could take away from this. Is one, like I was just saying, I feel like he is, if you look at the two, I don't care. People are like, you can't compare them. Like, I'm going to always compare them. You look at Iron Man when that started, and to me, Iron Man was it's a comic book movie, but they're trying to be as realistic as possible. And then once you go 5 years later, it's like, no, we're a comic book movie, whatever. Where I feel like this is fully, I remember watching Endgame or even Civil War being like, oh, this feels like it's ripped off the page, put on screen. Where I feel like the MCU took a while, where this has the luxury because people like and just enjoy comic movies a lot more. It's more mainstream. I feel like right off the bat, this is very comic booky. Like obviously you have not a talking dog, but like a super dog, right? You have the robots, just even little stuff which I appreciate, because I think in the movies, the Fortress of Solitude's always just been like hanging out somewhere. But I kind of like, oh yeah, it should be hidden. Like that's kind of a smart idea. I can't remember in comics because I'm not the biggest Superman guy. I'm sure that's in some comics somewhere where it says like, yeah, if you have like this base that has all this like technology from a different planet, that probably should not just be like hanging out in the open, right? So I kind of like, oh, it's like,
it's pretty big though. Like I feel like that is noticeable to. I assume it's in like the South Pole or somewhere where people don't go to, but
that's true.
Huge.
Yeah. But that one guy, those cave divers or something like that, they're looking for a challenge, and then that's how like Amy Adams, I think, finds them. Man of Steel. She's not a cave diver, but they're just looking into news stuff and like, oh, there it is. So there's that, and then the other thing is, because this is for everything, because I forgot to shout this last episode when we did what we were watching, but me and the girls just did the whole Pirates trilogy because they were for some reason talking about pirates a lot, so we watched that. And I think we've talked about this before, where you look at like someone like Davy Jones, that CGI back then is fantastic, right? And I think we always talk about like, oh, it looks so good back then, why not now? And that's because like, oh, these people get rushed all the time, these effects people and visual artists. It's not that they're worse, it's just that the deadlines have cut and the manpower is not enough, or it's like you're working these harsh hours. So that's one thing where I remember it's like the week before Fantastic Four started to film, Superman was already done. And I can't remember the amount of post production has. But that's what I think I noticed the most in this clip. That's what got me excited. It was more the visual stuff, because the feeling of the clip, I'm like, okay, this dog, like, we have some questions, like there could be too much if you do this, the humor could be too much, but that's always kind of, I think, a worry with James Gunn. Like I had that's why actually some of the things in Guardians 3 is the reason why it's not my favorite. I see tons of people put that as their number one, but for me it's not, because there's just moments that the humor kind of hurt it for me. And this is fine, but to me, like the Fortress Solitude, I think even Crypto was looking pretty good. Like, of course, you can tell it's a CGI dog, but I think there's times he's looking really lifelike. And for me, even the robots, that clearly they're not there, but the design and like the color they've gave them, how shiny they are, I think everything just looks very well blended, where I think that's something where like Thanos in MCU, he's very well blended, right? But then there's other times where you got a complete CGI thing, like the Beast in the Marvel's end credits, like, oh, this thing's not there. And to me, it takes you out of like, you either think it's a movie or you think about, man, were these visual effects, like how hard were they worked, or how was the case? Where this, to me, it looks, I'm not saying, I don't know the situation, maybe there's a report in 6 months that comes out that says it's the worst movie to work on ever, but visually what I'm seeing here, it's like, it looked very clean. That's what I liked about it. It looked very good, where everything felt believable and tangible, and it felt like it was in a world. I don't know if that's gonna be the whole movie, right? Because they could just take the best looking part of the movie, and I'm not saying this is like Avatar levels or something like that. I'm just saying that I feel the past, especially probably since COVID, I feel like we've suffered from a lot of big spectacle movies that don't look like spectacle movies, whether that's Star Wars in the TV realm, whether that's Marvel, whether it's just other stuff where it's like, oh, that's just not looking the greatest. You know, that's what I'd say. We just did Mickey 17. There's a movie where I think 98% of the CGI is like looking absolutely fantastic, right? But again, that's not held in that same way. It's not a blockbuster that they had to rush out. So I feel like in this day and age, it's tough to get stuff like that. So details as well. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite, the MCU in general. And that's not a movie that I'm like, oh, doesn't make sense to me. I get that. If like when Taylor used to put like Thor Dark World as favorite MCU movie, that's what I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. But there's just little stuff of like, I remember when they save all the animals at the end, and for some reason they have like one of the, it's like a raccoon or badger, like the woman's saving them, and then the badger's like scratching her face up and everything, and I'm like, why is this happening in this moment? So it's this emotional stuff. So that's where for me there's just certain things in Guardians, like again, I think I still gave it like a 9, I might even gave it a 10, because I have like big pros. I just don't like it. I feel like most people I talk to have it as the best of the trilogy. I don't know where you are on that, Dylan, after some time has passed.
I have not rewatched that movie in a cool minute. I would say that it's probably my number 3 though.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like obviously it's just different, but I just feel like I don't have the same need to watch as like the other twos. Like I just feel like I reminisce about those more than the third one, you know? Also, I didn't hate Adam Warlock like everybody else, but I also didn't love Adam Warlock. And he's like a good chunk of that movie. So details is just like dope, sorry. And then Lucas Jones has some comments that I will bring up here in a second, because I'm going to quickly bring it up. We're not going to watch the full thing. We're just going to watch the Fortress part. And even then, there's not too much here. I'll mute, but I will. I got a good laugh because I felt like somebody dropped the cyborg Superman sort of.
I was like, I don't know if my brain is broken or if it actually sounded like that. But
that's what I was like, is it a Mandela? Oh, I didn't bring it up. Shit. Is it a Mandela effect that we've done? But no, that fully felt like Superman again. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if people just say that, but and this is stuff where like we know they shot on location. They went to like a big like snowy. I think I can't remember if it was Iceland or something, but they shot somewhere because James Gunn has all these behind the scenes photos of them like at the, you know, snow over the costume. Like the very first photo they ever released was the suit covered in snow. So that's what I appreciate too, where it's like, okay, obviously you can't have Crypto really there, but if you can get the other stuff around
on, by the way, I don't know if you meant to leave that.
Yeah, I do, because I want to hear the Superman part. Is it super loud?
Well, I just heard the woo, okay. I can't whistle, but I heard a very loud whistle.
No, I can't whistle either, you know, so... Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's been debated a bunch is Crypto. And we have, like I said, a Patreon question about him. Because in that first trailer, Dylan, all they showed was, I'll pause it, all they showed was that part where he whistles and just the snow coming up and then him stopping. So they didn't show this like very mischievous, very like over rambunctious dog. I think that for me, and I know I'll get to it in a second, maybe I'll bring up Charlie's question here right now, but I feel like for me, in small doses, this is fine. But I think one part where they're smart is I think this stuff's gonna kill with the GA. Like the whole like the dog jumping on him and being kind of an asshole. Like I already thought Crypto was gonna do great with the GA, just being like, oh, a cute dog that has superpowers. But the fact now he's like he's always a handful. Like I actually think that'll help people. Like, oh, that reminds me of my dog or a dog I know. Like everyone knows a dog that's just fucking running around whipping. So I think that's a smart take there. You've met a dog where you're like, okay, too much. Like they're like someone needs to put this dog into training, and that's what it seems like Crypto is. So
yeah, fair enough.
And poor guy, he's broken ribs, broken all this, and Crypto's just beating the shit out of him. So
Lovingly.
How you feel? Because you said this is the first time seeing Corn Sweat. You think he's looking like a Superman? You see
He's
that?
looking like Superman.
Good, yeah. I think so, too.
Absolutely. Good suit,
But like,
all that.
Yeah, I like how the suit pops, but I will bring up some stuff here in a second. But like there, of course, yeah. You can tell, yeah, that's not a real dog, of course. But like I think it's blended pretty
enough.
well for the most part. Yes, we've seen much worse, I feel like, in there. And, James Gunn has an act with that. Raccoon or Rocket Raccoon.
Now, do you think for emotional value, like, is Crypto dying in this movie? Are we getting dog death?
No, I think Crypto's going to be around for a hot.
Crypto's going to be on the Justice League team?
Maybe. I don't think they've confirmed, but I think the story they're basing the Supergirl movie on, Crypto plays a big role in that. So I think they got a lot of stock in the cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency. Nice.
Yeah.
Good one.
But this was something. When the fortress comes up, this is where I was like, okay, this is like, again, obviously it's not a real ice fortress, but it's looking good to me. Like, I've seen much worse. And this was the moment when I really realized, man, I'll pause it. We're in a comic book movie. It's not even just like a door. It's a door that Crypto barks at, and then a Superman single light. Like, you don't have to do that.
With magic. Like, this is not electricity power in this.
Yes, like this where I was like, okay, I already thought it's a Superman movie, but I feel like even Man of Steel, right? It's a very comic booky movie, but it's in the realistic world. Like, what would Superman be like for us? Like, this feels like it's very much going to be a live action cartoon, which I think that's not a knock. I'm saying that as a pro, So right there, I think Crypto looks really good right there. Like that lighting, that's looking really good. So what I'll try to bring up here is people are saying that you can hear people. If you don't want any spoilers, it's out there. If you're listening to this podcast, you already know. Skip 2 minutes ahead. I'm not sure, Dylan, have you heard who's playing Superman's dad?
I don't think so.
Bradley Cooper is playing Superman's dad.
Whoa,
so also
the Coops.
Yeah.
No one had him on the draft, hey? We didn't think Cooper was going to be one of the Guardians people that would come over.
No, which is funny because the rumor was when they were looking at Lex, the rumor was they talked to him about it, but Cooper was kind of like, didn't really want to sign on all that.
Didn't want to shave his head.
That too, yeah. But it also makes sense, like big fun little role, but it's also small. But people are swearing that you can hear. I'm going to turn it all the way. That you can hear Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
Hang on, listen.
I will listen.
Hey, Colonel.
So that's what people think is Bradley Cooper, because it's already kind of confirmed that Bradley Cooper, it's somebody, there's test screenings out there. Someone was kind of a jerk and said, hey, I saw a test screening, it's Bradley Cooper, and other people are like, yeah, that's a confirmed thing.
So
yeah.
Is his dad like a human? Like, is it Bradley Cooper on screen, or is it going to be CGI voice Bradley Cooper?
So the thing is with Jor-El, he not always, but there's many times there's like a AI version of him. So it's kind of like, let's say Dylan Musk, you knew you were going to die, but you had AI script who you were, and we could podcast with you. So we wouldn't know exactly what you'd think, but it would be like, what is Dylan Musk from the day you were born to April 3rd? Like, how would he react to this news or this situation? So that's what the Jor-El kind of usually works, is it's a version of him, but it's not like he's dead. He died a long time ago. Or It could also just be like recordings of the past, or maybe Superman's just like, he's in like a pained whatever state and he's hearing stuff. Like, we don't know when it happens, but so it could be a number of things. Could be memories, could be dreams, could be the AI version. But he's usually, in most, I'd say 95% of the media, he is dead. He's on that planet when it explodes and he's a goner,
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we'll continue now. These robots. Oh, and I'll go back to the clip where, again, this is where, if people don't get the joke, specifically the Joss Whedon, because it's not like that in the Zack Snyder cut. The Joss Whedon cut has Cyborg yelling, Superman! And it was one of the most comedic, cheesy things that me and Dylan both laughed at in the theater when we saw it. But Superman! The robot sounds.
See, that sounds like Defoe to me, actually.
It's Alan Tudyk. That voice is Alan Tudyk. So Alan Tudyk has like 4 roles in the DCU. It's kind of crazy.
That could have been some good points if someone.
It could have been. Yeah.
Is he in Guardians at all?
I don't know if he is.
Sir, we will not
Because I spoke about how you feel about these robots. I think for me, like I said, because they've made them shiny, that the aesthetic really works, and I feel like they look somewhat realistic. But how are you feeling on the robots?
whatsoever.
They're okay. I feel like it's strange to me that they have a cape. I'm trying to think of other robots that have capes. I feel like Grievous has one, but Grievous is very extra. Yeah, he might not even have one. I just feel like in my mind's eye he does.
No, I think he does, or Cloak at least.
But I feel like I don't understand why these robots have capes. Is it just to match Superman, I guess, to be like themed?
I think so, because technically Superman doesn't need a cape, right?
Well, no one needs a cape, right?
Well, Batman needs a cape because he can't fly, so he needs it for like, you know?
Okay, it's a parachute for him.
Syndrome needed a cape. Obviously, it cost him, but he needed a cape, right? Because he couldn't fly. You need something to like break your.
Syndrome has like a jetpack, but jetpack boots.
But I'm just saying, let's say those boots break, you can use that to like.
You can fly down.
You can hover, right? Where
okay, well, I'll say 99% of people don't need a cape. They just use it for style, right?
Yeah. So there you go. As says, surprisingly, Alan Tudyk hasn't been in any of the Guardians movie, which is kind of crazy. So there you go.
Yeah, he wasn't in the 3 Guardians movies, but now he's got 4 roles in this, so it kind of trades it off, right?
Yeah, he's in some other role in here. He's in Creature, not in this. Sorry, I said that meant to say the DCU.
In greater DCU. Gotcha.
So he plays this. He plays some other role in this movie I can't remember, and then he plays 2 voices in Creature Commandos. So,
do you think there'll be a 5th? Like, is he going to be on the table for a draft pick? Is he a potential?
No comment.
Okay, I see what you got there in your reservoir over there. You're ready to...
At this point, you keep casting. It's like, I know Warner Brothers is light on money.
That's why I'm keeping Sean Gunn. That guy is getting rolls on rolls on rolls.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Every year.
Yeah, you're not wrong too. So I'll keep going here.
Nepotism.
They give the robots a little bit of humor here. I don't mind this.
Yeah, humor's one way to describe it.
How would you describe it?
I just don't find it funny. I
that's
hate
fine.
to be that boring guy.
Yeah. And I think you're not alone. Because there's tons of people, lots of other people that like the last Superman more, but tons of people like, oh man, it's going to be too funny and stuff. Like, I will agree, if the whole movie is like this, it could get a little grating. I don't want, like this thing you said earlier, I don't want Superman to just be Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That's kind of one of the reasons why I don't love the Suicide Squad that he directed, because for me, it just feels like a lesser Guardians, like all of them, right? Like, I think there's certain things he got to do, like, cool, it's rated R, so you got to do more blood and sex jokes, and there's some nudity. Don't get me wrong, there's some great stuff in Suicide Squad and in Peacemaker as well, but for me, I don't want this to feel like Guardians light. And I know people also worry about that with all the heroes. I've told this to Clay. I think just things based I've heard, it sounds like those heroes are probably going to be more just like a segment of the movie. They're not really going to be big characters. Kind of like, remember how in Guardians 2, Sylvester Stallone was like with some Ravagers and they had like a mini subplot for a couple scenes with Yondu, but they weren't really in. I think that's what those other Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, I think that's what they're going to be. It's just kind of more.
Hawk Girl's the one with the mace, right? She's the mace one?
Yeah.
Okay. Was she not in like some other movie recently?
Hawkman was in Black Adam, if that's what you might be thinking.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah, and then Hawk Girl's played by Isabel Merced, who is the girl who was pregnant in Romulus. So,
Who's the girl who's pregnant in Romulus? Okay.
Remember, she has to give birth to something not too snazzy.
What year does this movie? Is this present day Superman?
Yes, but obviously it's a fake world, so I don't think you're ever going to get like a year date, in my opinion.
Really?
I think they're gonna,
Never in the DCU.
No, I think they're going to try and make it as fantastical as possible, because James kind of said his approach to the DCU is he wants to make it like Star Wars. So like the original Star Wars, not what we got now. So I think he's going to try and make it as otherworldly as possible. And I think the second, you might have to, I guess, for context on certain things, but because I guess they will cover World War Wars, but I think they're going to try to not modernize it as much as possible is what I mean,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just wondered because these robots look like they could be like a old school, like 50s design.
They look
robot,
Fallout-ish.
like Fallout style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
292 times.
I like this. I think it's a fun little touch where the whole fortress has to flip, and he's so hurt that they're gonna just like blast him with the sun, and he's healing. And then that music comes in. You gotta take that out so hopefully doesn't get copyright, and he's healing. That's all we got. But so far, what I saw, I liked a little bit more of what we got.
Sorry, was
before.
the other section like the trailer the first trailer or something?
With like a little extended stuff, but yeah,
Okay,
that was
okay,
pretty
okay.
much that was the
Gotcha.
trailer, pretty beat for beat and everything. So, but yeah, no, I'm more excited, but I'm also still. I've said this before though. I don't have any of the comic book movies in my most anticipated this year. I'm all kind of, which is probably I'm hoping a good thing.
Are you not more excited for the bolts after we know that they're Avengers?
Um.
So that movie will have like bigger stakes. It'll be more meaningful in the greater MCU.
No, I don't think it did anything for me. I think the
Really?
only thing I was
Okay.
excited for was
That definitely gave me a bump of excitement for the
Okay.
movie. I mean, I was
Yeah.
already, I think, more excited for it than you, perhaps, but
yeah, I think so. But
Anyway.
I'm still I still had that over Cap. Like I think the only thing I was excited by that news, I was just excited that Florence Pugh was confirmed to be in Avengers. That's all I was looking
Right.
for. You know, the rest of the stuff because.
and Wyatt Russell, I feel like you're pretty hyped about him being in there too. Eh?
Yeah, I was. I'm more surprised by Wyatt Russell. I thought there was no chance he'd be in an Avengers movie. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you have to ask me after that movie because if these characters are in there just to like get killed by Doom, then it's like, well, we got kind of hyped for nothing, right? Like I could see Wyatt Russell, Ghost, like be cannon fodder for Dune, and he just takes him out, you know. And but like this,
Hopefully, Red
Fantastic-
Guardian gets taken out.
he's going. I think for sure. I think he's a
three
goner.
movies. That's as many movies as you can get out of Red Guardian.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good cap. So, but like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing for Bolts, for this, for F4, for those not to be like my most anticipated movies. I'm going in with lesser, and they're all for different reasons, right? Just because Thunderbolts, we've had a rocky time. Fantastic Four, I don't even know why I'm necessarily not super excited for it. I love all the people. Kirby was my fan cast, and we got that. And I even like the news today. Like we're not going to talk about till we get that trailer, but they confirmed that Sue Storm's pregnant. So like, oh, that's cool. They're doing that storyline, and apparently, like the Silver Surfer they have in there looks like identical to her. Like, there's things I like. I just don't know why it's not. I guess I didn't love that trailer. And same thing with this. This like made me more excited from a technical standpoint. Like, oh, I really like the way this is looking. The humor wise, I need to see because I don't think the whole movie's like this. But if it is, and I guess I don't know why I'm not like more. I guess maybe because I'm just not a big Superman guy, right? So he's never the top dog for me. And I know lots of people that have loved that trailer. The thing that
Crypto the
has
top
made,
dog, or
no, I'm still a Lockjaw guy. You know, Lockjaw, Bulldog.
when's Lockjaw coming to MCU?
Well, he was in it, the Inhumans TV show on ABC, and then they
Wasn't
killed
he
that,
in
got
What If?
canceled.
Was he in What If?
I think he was in an episode of What If. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Huh.
Oh shit, what was I gonna say? Oh, the thing that does get me excited, and again, here's something you can, because Dylan won't be seeing this, so I can throw it to him like a spitballing. So skip 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes ahead if you don't want to hear anything about. It's not plot spoilers, it's just structure. People have said, because apparently I've read
It's
it.
got to be the start of the movie, by the way. This scene,
I wonder. I don't know if it's the start
first 15
or
minutes.
I think it's either the start or the end of the second act, where the whole movie things have been going
Whoa.
good, and then things are bad. Or I could see it being a Tarantino thing where you start here and you go backwards. But why I said Tarantino is because apparently people have said it's rumor. Because I've not fully read it. I've read portions. I'm gonna read it. There's a run called All-Star Superman, and in that run, it's kind of more about just chapters of Clark's life and not really like a one-to-one complete, like it doesn't run parallel as far as like point A to point B. And apparently this movie has a similar plot structure where it's not like an episode of a like shows put together, but apparently it's more almost like there is an overlining story, which I imagine just probably Lex pop up into him. But I don't think this is it. People don't kill me if I've not read the full leaks. I've not done this, but I think it's kind of like you'd have like 4 chunks of the movie and maybe Lex is in them all, and near the end you get that big thing. But it sounds like it's kind of like a spaced apart story. It's not just you start the movie and you go. It sounds like there's sections. And at first when I heard that, I thought, oh, that's really weird. But that's something that got me more excited, because I think we've talked about so much where I just go, nowadays we've seen how many comic movies are either bombing or struggling. I think anything that's a little bit different will help. And I try to think about that.
What if the movie was split into 4 one-shots like Adolescence?
Man, then James Gunn deserves the greatest. He deserves an Oscar if he's directing a Superman movie like that. But I don't think it's like Pulp Fiction where it's out of order, but it's Pulp Fiction the way where that has chapters, right? Where it's split particularly. So I could see like I wonder if one chapter's like him and those superheroes, one chapter's him and Lois, one chapter's him and Lex, and like
I
how
actually
does
really
that-
like this because I feel like a lot of comic book movies, mostly maybe Marvel, but DC as well, like we've really gotten to like a template kind of era with these
Yes.
things, and so I feel like that could be a good idea actually. And obviously, you still need it to be like a coherent movie that hits your brain in a good way and you don't fall asleep at the theater. But I feel like that could work, and that could be kind of cool and something a little bit different as well. So I'm down for that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping if that is the structure and these test screenings came back, I really hope there's not like the audience doesn't like this and that, because I think you got to be different nowadays, and I think that makes you different. Of like it's everybody when they Pulp Fiction is one movie, right? But everybody has like their favorite segment in that movie, and I think that would kind of be cool to do the comic movie of like, oh, I really liked this portion of Superman. Like it feels maybe odd because it's not the same way, but I just feel like you just need something fresh. And I feel like that can set it apart from, I think we know what Thunderbolts is going to be. Fantastic Four being in a different universe sets it apart. So I think that could help. And I really don't know why, but let me just pull up the Patreon question here. It's some similar stuff that we've covered, but how are you feeling now? Because obviously we've drafted everything and you won't be on the predictions episode. How are you feeling right now this is going to be doing like just success-wise? I'm pretty confident like critically. I don't see a world where this is like rod and or people are like I think people might like it in variations, but I don't think James Gunn's like, from what I've seen from the trailers and the scene, James Gunn can make a competent comic book movie, so I'm not really worried about that.
I think this movie is gonna make the exact same amount of money as Thor Love and Thunder.
So around the
Yeah.
700 mark.
Yeah, 700
Yeah,
something.
I could see that. That's realistic. I know some people saw this clip. They were thinking $1 billion. I can't go that way yet, but I will say the kids were. I had them watch this. I didn't have them watch Megan, but I have a story about Megan because because the first trailer didn't seem to catch their attention, but I was curious because like, hey, this is a scene with a dog longer. This got their attention, and this because I remember when I showed them the Superman trailer, they're like, "Oh, can we watch this now?" I was like, "Okay." Didn't really catch them, but this they were locked in. So I think that they could make a lot of money off this dog with stuffies and everything like that. Which, speaking of that dog, Charlie Randall, Patreon producer, says, after seeing more of Crypto's reckless behavior, are you more excited for the character or less? In an interview recently, Derek Cornsweat said, Crypto needs Superman. Superman doesn't need Crypto. He's the world's worst dog. Although Superman loves Crypto, he's more trouble than he's worth. Is that what you guys imagine
Fucking
for the character?
rude.
Is that what you imagine for the character? Is that the right approach to make them fall in love with the character? I kind of spoke on that earlier where I kind of think so, because I just think everyone can think about that one dog that's kind of not an asshole, but that is just kind of very rambunctious, but then they'll come and lick you and you're like, okay, I like this. Like, I give this pass, dog. So I think it is smart. And I didn't expect this actually. I did expect just a more stoic, like, he's just going to be a super dog that looks cute for merch. So I think I'm more positive on them giving a personality. My asterisk is don't do too much of it. Don't have them all over, like I think in the movie, if they have them in these Pulp Fiction chunks, if there's let's say Fortress of Solitude segment and he's in there for about half of that, that's perfect. Because that sounds like a 10 to 15 minutes. I think that's fine. This movie's going to be probably 2.5 hours. I think the rumors it's 220 right now. So like if he's in there for 10 to 15 sprinkled throughout, that's fine. But you don't want to go too hard, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, as I said earlier, like I feel like this trailer to me showed off like tons of characters. There's lots going on. There's like he's making out with this girl like multiple times, so we got a love interest in here. So it's like I don't expect that we're gonna just be inundated with screen time of, I keep wanting to say Cosmo, but Crypto. Yeah. So I think it'll be used sparingly. You'll get some funny fight scenes where like bad guy doesn't expect this dog to mess him up, but then the dog messes him up. That'll be haha funny moment. So yeah, we'll get that. I think obviously it's easy to make the one-to-one comparison with Cosmo from Guardians of the MCU and what James Gunn did there, but obviously the main difference is that Cosmo had a voice actor and like had some personality through that sense, where this is going to be something a little bit different. But since the movie's like even Cosmo was used so sparingly in that and worked because of how, like, if you overdid it, it would have been too much, but gets a couple fun moments, but mostly comedic. I feel like it's going to be kind of the same role here. And yeah, as you kind of mentioned, like fun, cute merch type character, which seems like every one of these comic book movies needs. You got Fantastic Four with the freaking robot. What's the cute thing in Thunderbolts? What do you sell from Thunderbolts?
Oh, Florence Pugh. That's the cute thing in Thunderbolts, you know.
Kid, kids want like a cute little Florence Pugh stuff.
They show
like,
the
my
popcorn
favorite actress
bucket
from Midsummer. These kids, you know.
They showed the popcorn bucket and the cup. The popcorn bucket, very lazy. It's just a bunch of designs on there. But the cup, it's a Florence Pugh topper. So they know what what they're doing there. But no, I don't think there's anything. I think they're trying to go for the rugged. Like you saw that. We talked about in the Discord. Did you see the like indie trailer they made for Thunderbolts where they're like from the cinematographer of Hereditary and from this? Have you seen that trailer?
No.
I'll try and find it for you one time. They throw out a bunch of independent movies in the Marvel trailer. Like they literally say cinematographer of Hereditary from the writers of Beef. Like they're trying very hard, which just feels so funny the roundabout way. They're trying very hard to make you think like, no, this is a different type of. So I feel like they don't want to have anything cute. They want to be, you liked Midsommar, you want to see this, but like really, it's kind of like today. I had such a fucking laugh. I love them both. Can't wait to see the movie. But Jamie Lee Curtis saying Freaky Friday 2 was made for the big screen. No, it wasn't. I know since COVID, that's the most popular thing because they want people to go in the theaters. But I'm so sick and tired of sitting in a movie and like the thank you comes up and it's like Tom Cruise in a chair. It's like, I'm already here. But like, that's where it's like, Freaky Friday was not made for the big screen, nor was Thunderbolts. I don't think Foggy sat down and said, you know what? A24, let's do one of those. There's no there's no way. If for some reason we watch this movie and it feels like, because I think even Pew said that where it's like, oh, it feels like an assassin Marvel movie with A24. It's like, I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but that I guarantee this is nothing like an A24 film,
Absolutely not. No,
absolutely. And then second question says, where do you think it'll rank in terms of James Gunn's animals? Eagly, Rocket, Weasel, Crypto, and Cosmos.
Okay, Rocket, obviously God tier, S tier, top of the list. I don't know what was the first one called again?
Eagly.
I don't know who Eagly is.
In Peacemaker, John Cena has a pet American eagle.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah,
I think I'd go Rocket, Cosmo, Weasel, Crypto. I don't know Eagly, so I'll put Eagly below Weasel. I don't know. I don't know Eagly.
So I think, Rocket off. Like you can't top Rocket. No, I don't. Like Rocket to me is up in there like the Golem.
I'd even
Thanos.
put Lila or Leela, whatever that character. I would put that like second on this list of James Gunn.
That's true. I'd include like Lila and like group of friends, like the walrus guy in the wheelchair. Like he was a cute guy too. Very sad their fates, but yeah. So Rocket and Gang for sure the top, and then who do we got? Do
you like Eagly? Is Eagly a fun character in that?
Eagly's fun, but Eagly's more like Crypto, where it's not like it's that one's more just purely for a joke. Like it's
no
just
voice,
no voice whatsoever.
Sean Gunn's not playing Eagly.
I don't know for a fact if he's not, to be honest.
Maybe
I don't think he is.
He's doing the mocap.
I think honestly below Rocket, I think Crypto's gonna end up ranking second because I like Cosmo, but like you said, Cosmo's not in it too much. I think Crypto will be in it more than Cosmo because I just feel like that's a more vital character, right? Like a dog that was sent from Superman's planet versus an astronaut dog, So I think it's gonna go second. But right now, I'd go like Rocket and the Gang. I'd go. I have a soft spot because Matty Seg says this too. Like the world needs more Weasel. I have a soft spot for Weasel. There's something about Weasel I really liked. So gonna go Rocket, Weasel, Cosmo, and then Eagly last. Even though I like Eagly, but yeah, just Weasel, like the look of him. And I did not finish Creature Commandos, but the Weasel episode is heartbreaking. The Weasel episode, 10 out of 10, no notes. It's very sad of like, he's actually just this misunderstood animal that was like painted, like just kind of set up and painted in a very bad thing. So I one day will finish Creature Commandos, but today's not that day. So
fair enough.
Anything else on Superman?
I thought there was another question about that. I guess not.
Charlie had the two. Maddie has questions about some other stuff there, but I'm not sure. Cool. April 18th is Superman Day, so that's kind of the theory when we'll get the next trailer. That is a Friday, of course, on the weekend, so that makes it great for podcasting, but I'll figure that out later on. But look out for that. Oh, I guess because Sinners is out, they're probably going to attach it to Sinners, which sounds weird, but I just think they want Superman on everything they can get, especially it's a Warner Brothers movie. So let's see here. Let's go to our first battle break. We'll be right back. And we're back. So I'm going to hit you with this news, Mr. Musk. We, a long time ago, were big Tarantino fans, but I think this is something we probably would have said would never happen, right? Especially with Tarantino. He's a stickler. He's doing 10 movies, right? Because Kill Bill's a combo. He's doing 10 movies, then he's retiring. So it was around last year, somewhere like that, where he was writing The Movie Critic. Now, this rumor, the start of it, there's conflicting reports. Some people say this was an entirely different script. Some people say The Movie Critic kind of transformed into a Cliff Booth script. Because what happens was he was writing a script about a movie critic in like the 60s, 70s, but he did have Cliff Booth as a character that showed up, right? Just kind of like a cameo or had some sort of appearance or whatnot. And then some people believe that got more and more and then just kind of turned into one. But then, as we talked about last year, Tarantino just shelved it. He, for some reason, just felt, hey, it's not good enough. Don't want to direct it. He's being very particular because it's his last movie and he wants to stick to that. I swear if he's really particular and then he just comes back for 11th, going to be pissed. But I know lots of people don't believe him. I think I do believe him just in this story alone because, as we've seen, he has a script sitting there and instead of doing nothing with it, well, he sold it off. And he said before, like, he's going to write books. He's going to write plays. I think this is a kind of a window into, I don't think it's going to happen, but like he either has a treatment or he's written a full script of Kill Bill 3. So, but what happened here was, I guess, that he had the script at one point and Brad Pitt really liked it. And Brad Pitt said like, well, if you're not going to make it, could I? And I guess the word is that Tarantino said, depending who the director was. So you go to David Fincher, who on Mount Rushmore, he's on my Mount Rushmore, Seven, Fight Club, The Killer just recently. He was a part, Gone Girl, yes, he's been a part of many series, like he's doing the Squid Game remake, he did House of Cards, he did Mank, which I didn't really love, he did The Curse of Benjamin Button, not The Curse, is it The Curse? The Case of Benjamin Button, not it is a curse, some kind of
sequel,
right?
maybe.
Yeah,
Curse,
it is.
Yeah.
We just reviewed it last year. He directed
The
Alien
Curse,
3.
that show.
The Curse. We'll talk about that later. But so this is what happened. He went to him, and right now David Fincher has an exclusive first look deal with Netflix. So in the situation where, well, he approves Fincher direct, will has to be with Netflix. Sounds like Tarantino didn't care because they paid him a nice $20 million to get this script off of him. So they bought the script.
That's it.
Well, that's pretty good for. He does nothing now. He just wrote that script.
How much did Downey get for Avengers?
50.
Come on.
That's pretty good. Like he got 20. That's pretty good for just writing a script. I'll have someone buy a script for 20
Some
million.
letters on a page.
Yeah, but yeah, so he
Okay,
got 20 million. He slid that over, and then after this, apparently the word is like he might have an executive producer credit on it or something, but word is he has nothing to do with it. Doesn't care. Like you go do your thing.
Can you remind me Tarantino's reasoning for doing the 10? Is it because like you get old and you make shitty movies? Is it because he wants like there to be a nice like time capsule of 10 movies is a nice number?
I think a bit of both, but more the former, that he believes directors when they get older make bad movies.
See, then I just think this is so dumb because now like Hollywood came out in 2019. And so now it's going to be like a couple more years or longer until we get his next movie.
It could
so
be.
like, is this reasoning not that, like by fucking around, by making these random scripts and selling them off, and then going to make a stage play, and then doing this, doing that, canceling movies? Like, have you not then got into that era where you're an old shitty director, Tarantino? Like, what's going on here? Is this 10th movie just going to be garbage because you're waiting so long to make it? What's going on?
62. So I'd like to ask
him. So he's old.
Him,
he's old and he's washed, and this movie's gonna suck. Is by his reasoning, reasoning, not my reasoning.
By time he could be filming, technically, I think in the States it's the same. You're considered a senior when you're 65. So he's in his senior years. I do agree with everybody that I think he's just mad that
he just needs to swallow that. I know he's been going, sticking to that thing for 20 years, whatever at this point. But dude, come on. You want to make the movies. You're still gonna make them. You're just not gonna like. Oh, I'm not in the director's chair. Dude, just make the movies, okay? If you make a shitty movie, that'll be one of my favorite movies of the year,
Yeah.
Please.
I think he's just kicking himself that unfortunately, to me, my favorite, I don't know if it's my favorite, but the best movie he's done was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I think he really wishes that was his last one. Because I think there's like a Chasing the Dragon feel where I think he looks at that movie and he doesn't think he can top it. He doesn't think, and that's what he's worried about, is everyone being like, oh yeah, he should have won the last one, or this is his last one. And then, because what's going to happen though, as I wonder, is that's going to happen, and then he's going to stew on it for years, and he's going to hear those comments again and again, that people are like, well, it wasn't as good as Hollywood.
And we're not going to get a 10th movie, are we?
What? No, I think it'll be the reverse, that he'll do it, and then he'll come back for 11th when everyone tells him that 10 was not as good as Hollywood. That's what's going to happen. He's going to prove something. But it's either that, or he said before, he could just cheat and say Kill Bill was 2 movies and he's at 10 already, because he didn't want to release Kill Bill.
Imagine if he did that.
At this point, he maybe should, if he's just like getting gray hairs over this. But what do you think about the concept now of just a sequel of this film? Cliff Booth has come back. It's following his adventures. Leo supposedly is in negotiations to appear. His role would not be huge. It sounds like it maybe be kind of like, you remember how Pacino was in Hollywood? Now I hate saying that in the first movie, because that's what it is. But in Hollywood, where Pacino was in a couple scenes, it sounds like Leo would be that, where maybe there'd be a part where he'd be in there. And there's been no talks about Margot Robbie being in it, but apparently it's not like a closed door. So there's lots, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, based off what you were saying earlier about Cliff Booth and that being maybe the genesis of this, that makes sense that he would be maybe the main guy who comes back. But to me, when I first heard this news and kind of forgot about that Cliff Booth thing, because I think you'd mentioned that before, it's like Margot Robbie was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, that's where the sequel stuff goes, because that's kind of the whole rewriting of history of this, is that this person who in the real world died at that point in time is instead alive now. What can we do next with that? You know, her filming her next movie, which is some other thing that could be, you know, it's a classic Tarantino movie within a movie situation. So I feel like it would be great if she came back. That would be really fun. But also sounds like this might just be like from the world of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's gonna be like a ballerina situation where it's like, is it really a sequel? Maybe not. It's just like in the same place, and there's a couple characters that come back, and in which case it's like, well, I can't complain too much if it's not directly following up on like storylines from the first one.
Yeah,
because even Cliff Booth, he's just kind of like a guy, you know. It's not like really about him.
Well, yeah, but it sounds like he'd be the main character of this, so I feel like it has to be about him now. Like that's the thing. That's sure. And I don't know if, like, do you touch upon, like, are the police or somebody after him for the wife thing? Is it more stuntman things? Is it like the future of Hollywood?
puts those goggles on the boat or whatever. Yeah, so
that could be a poster right there, you know. And I agree with Superman Mike. There's no possible way it lives up to the hype. His 10th movie. No, I don't think so. Now you've built up too much. Now he should have never said it. He should have. I always get the idea Tarantino's a showman. He's a showman, and he has showmanship, and he wanted to build that up, right? Because I know, it's like we talked about John Wick stuff, I can see the promotion in the posters already. The final Tarantino movie, you had to like all that, right? But you know how cool it would have been? Let's say he's legitimately doing this. How cool it would have been, you watch the movie and you hit credits, and the first thing that pops up, like, the final directed by...
How about we just, like, delete Jackie Brown, and then we get like an 11th movie?
A lot of people love Jackie Brown, so you don't want to do that. Everybody has their favorite Tarantino movie, you know?
I will delete it from history.
Or like the credits says directed by Quentin Tarantino ... for the last time. That would have been such like a mic drop, but it would have leaked, because it would have festivals and everything. I don't know, but yeah. I'll take this, because Brad Pitt was great. Cliff Booth. I don't know why I have such a problem saying that name tonight. Cliff Booth. I'm just going to call him Booth for the foreseeable future. I'll take this, but at the same time, I have some worries. I know in the Discord, me and Clay, U.S. Clay Agent, Patreon Clay, talked about this. He was completely on board with Fincher as a director. I'm not really, and this is coming from like Tarantino. This should sound perfect, right? Fincher, I think he's written one of his scripts, and he doesn't write his scripts. He doesn't do that. He's a director. He does not do screenplays, the whatever. Like, that's what he is.
He'll never touch a piece of paper in his life.
Never. He can't paper straws, none of it. But he doesn't want to recycle at all. But for me, in my Rushmore is Nolan, Scorsese, and then these two. So you would probably look at this and be like, well, Travis, this is like a perfect combo.
If you're going to get any guy to direct it.
Right?
Get the Rushmore boy, yeah.
But to me, it's just like, and even Clay was like, oh, well, Fincher has like a very, you know, he thought his sense of humor would match. And Fincher in his movies has a great sense of humor, but I don't think they match at all, really, to me. I think his is very dry and sometimes very dark. Tarantino has dark humor, but I think his humor sometimes is very over the top. Or it's stuff like, Hateful Eight when it's like smash cut to a guy going down on Sam Jackson and he's like, like it's very like splashy, right? And for me, it's like I think it's very night and day different. I think it's a good thing because you have a great director, visually great director, but even their visual styles are very different. At least they both work with Pitt multiple times. Like Pitt, like Fincher is a go-to guy, like obviously Seven and Fight Club, but he also directed World War Z. I've never seen it, but that was a film that was in production hell, and he went to Fincher and just said like, I need your help, and Fincher did it. So they got a good relationship. Cool. And I am curious of like who else you could get back if you want to tie back in the Charles Manson stuff. If you could get like Margot Qualley back, like
that's what I was gonna say is like Sydney Sweeney, Mikey Madison, Maya Hawke in there. Like there's so many and Austin Butler even, like so many people who are like huge stars now, and it's like it would be great if you got like that row of people back.
And she's not huge, but don't forget like Victoria Pedretti, I can never say her last name, the girl that played Love and You, she was one of the Manson girls as well.
Right. So it never ends, all of them.
And you got Netflix budget and everything. And for me, it's also like, it's a bummer. I hope there's some sort of run, but it's a really bummer of like, I'd love to see this on the big screen if it ends up being anywhere near the quality of Hollywood. So there's that. And also just like, there's times with Fincher's Netflix
they would do the classic Netflix in theater run. Right, because they want it to be as striking at the Oscars, right?
Yeah, but I never always get all those because I wanted The Killer. I didn't get The Killer. Like I was so anticipating The Killer, and I didn't get that in Kelowna. So that's where for me.
Did you get Glass Onion? Did you get any of these?
Got Glass Onion, yeah, and I got the fucking Red Notice with Rock and Ryan Reynolds. Like I feel like
Tarantino won.
I hope so.
I mean, I guess Killer was Fincher as well, right? But I think you would.
But Tarantino, it's both.
I think
names.
that would go everywhere. Probably.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, and I'll be there for it. And my only thing is with his work so far, I love The Killer. Mank, I was not a fan of. I loved House of Cards, but then he's also like remaking Squid Game, and I'm like, well, that feels like kind of a cash grab. So the same thing, it's like with Netflix, you just never know sometimes of like, where is this like a one for you, one for me? Is this a money move? Again, is this just because Pitt really wanted to do this and he's like, yeah, sure, fuck it, like I'll do it, we'll get some like this is one. It just feels like I just see a scenario, Dylan, where we watch this movie and we're like, man, I really wish they didn't do this. Even if Tarantino wrote it, because even then, Blue Velvet, Tarantino. Oh no, it's not that. Natural Born Killers. He wrote that movie, and I can't remember the reason why he didn't end up directing it. And then when he saw bits and pieces of it, he was fucking pissed the whole time that he didn't direct it, and he really regretted it. And I imagine, here's another scenario.
What was that other early one in his career? Like True Lies, is that the one, or something like that?
True Romance. That's what it was. Not Blue Velvet. Yeah, True Romance. Yeah, that was another one. But that was because he was still smaller, so he didn't have the clout, right?
Yeah.
But here's another scenario. Could you imagine this? And this is what I would wonder what he would do with his like. Yeah, and he has to. He has a massive ego, and that's a good thing. That's where he's got where he is. Imagine he puts out his 10th movie, and everyone does the whole thing. Like I said, it's not as good as Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. And then the Hollywood sequel comes out, and everyone loves it. What is that going to do to him? Because you have a movie that you like gave away, like, whatever, this is fine, you can direct it, and everyone's like, oh, this is amazing. And then his movie comes out, it's like, kind of disappointing.
And some people will be like, oh, that was his 10th. That was his 10th. Did you see Tarantino's 10th movie? It was insane. It was so good. Yeah.
Superman Mike says if Narnia does well, hopefully it starts more Netflix.
Right, and that was part of the contract for that. Is Gerwig's like, I need that on the big screen, or I'm not doing it. Right.
Rumor is Gerwig was not gonna walk, but like it was more moving that way of like, you better do this. The problem is though that happened, and then even people like IMAX said we don't plan on doing this again. They don't want to do that because the thing is they look at them as the enemy. They look at they look at like you're pushing Netflix and streamers. So there's a lot of exhibitors, Mike, that I'm sure will still take it. But even IMAX said like, we're never doing a mass, and it's Hollywood, right? Things change, but they said like, we're doing this, but we're not doing this a bunch of times in the future because we don't want people to go subscribe to Netflix. Like we want them to come to the theaters, which is dumb because like eventually it'll go to DVD or another streaming service.
Now I'm just imagining Netflix showing up at the theater and like, we got Tarantino's 10th movie. Are you going to make an exception for this? Like they're going to push that card too.
And at the end of the day, they can just go get their own movie theaters. They're already $8 billion of debt. What's another couple billion? So I was going to ask you this though. How would you feel? Because people talked about this. How would you feel about this? Would never happen, but like back in the day, he wrote a Vincent Vega's or a Vega Brothers script where there's like, there's a character from Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs are related. I don't know if it's a treatment or a script, but there is a script where the girl that, oh God, who is it? anyway, I can't remember her name, but in Kill Bill, she kills one of those assassins. They have a daughter, right? And he had written something where that daughter grows up, and now she's after the bride.
Yeah, I remember that one.
How would you feel like, let's say, whatever it is, 10th movie comes out, reception's what it is, and he sticks to his word. How would you feel like if we're getting this universe of, hey, we might visit a lot of these Tarantino worlds or scrapped ideas, but it's not through completely his lens. It's obviously written by him, but people can still, rewrite stuff. Things will change. It's not him. So it is like you're getting a amalgamation of Tarantino stuff in a sense. How do you feel about that going forward? Because this is, to me, a first sign of, I thought he would be very precious. So the fact that he sold it, that surprised me the most, that he went, yeah, you can have it. Obviously he got 20 million. So like, I'm sure he's fine, but like, just be like, he struck me as the type of guy that went, no, I'm not, like, this is my stuff. And he gave it away. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, it would be a different scenario. And this is going to sound a little dark here, is like if Tarantino had died, but he had wrote all these scripts, I don't know, maybe it would be weird, okay, if they just like took those scripts and like, gave them to people, but like let's say he had put it in his will that he's like, let other people make these movies. Yeah. Like that would be like, oh, cool, we're getting more of him in a way. But because we'd be getting them through the context of like him and his stupid little rules, I'm like, come on. Like we could have the real thing. He's right here. He's doesn't even have a gray hair on that head yet. Like, come on, let's get him in that director's chair and make it happen. At the same time though, I do think that there could be some fun of like, ooh, who would be the perfect director for Kill Bill? Any director in the world that he wants to do it would be like, I will gladly take this script for this and do it. Like I'm sure you can get whoever he wants. Seeing as like the Fincher thing, it's like, okay, that's probably one of the very top dogs you could possibly get
he
to
respects
take
Fincher,
the script and like make it complete. And obviously, as you mentioned, the Brad Pitt connection there is really important too. So like it's not like we're going to be getting like random ass people who are taking these scripts and making them, unless he signs some really weird deal where he just sells his soul and gives them away to make a shit ton of money. But like, Netflix gets to pick who directs it, and they pick, I don't know, I don't want to like shit on any director right now, but they just give it to some random person,
Exactly.
But I don't know, I think there could be some fun. That could be a fun fan cast for us, or maybe fan cast draft thing for us to do is like, ooh, what would like, who should do this the Vega Brothers sequel, or like who should do the Kill Bill trilogy thing, and like I don't know, I think there could be some fun there. So I'm honestly not super hyped about the Kill Bill thing. D-Toll as well. Kill Bill's my least favorite. I'm not a huge Kill Bill guy. The Vega thing, I don't know how I feel about that now. I think many, many years ago it could have been fun. I don't know if I want that today.
Yeah, I'm over it now. I'm not over it, but I think we're past the time. Because there's either two routes we go. It's de-aging, which I don't really want, because a full, like a scene or two, sure, but a full movie, we've seen that at times where it doesn't work. And then I also don't want a recast, because I feel that Michael Madsen maybe not as much, but Travolta to me is very much like a Nick Cage, where it's like he just has you can't really capture what Travolta is. Like he has a certain
aura. He's not that same guy from the 90s.
No, I meant as like a young actor. I feel like that'd be very hard to like find me somebody to play a young Travolta, and I feel like that's hard. He has like a certain aura where it's not like he has certain isms, but I just feel like it could be like Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo, where it's like this just doesn't feel right. So that's that's a
and I don't know if there's any other of his movies that like I want any sequel for.
I think he at one point, well, there's a couple. I think at one point he had pitched something more with Hateful Eight. I don't need that because I don't think it's my least favorite, but that's lower for me. I did always want, and he was starting to try to, I think they announced it, but they scrapped it. At one point they were working on a Django and Zorro movie. I don't know if you remember we talked about that point. Yeah, I still kind of want that.
Django, yes, I forgot about that. I would take that. That'd be cool.
Even if it's like some sort of highly stylized like animated movie, I would take that. I would take Kill Bill because I think Kill Bill is like in the higher middle, but I think
fruitful at the very least compared to
and especially because like in Kill Bill they give her a daughter, and like how do you not do that? How do you not have Maya Hawke and Uma Thurman on like that? Is absolutely, that's money right there to me.
And
like,
what's the I always forget the guy's name. Her husband.
Ethan. Well, they're not anymore. But Ethan.
They're
Hawke.
not married anymore.
No, they're not Ethan Hawke. No.
Today I learned. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
well,
maybe
do it anyway. You know.
But yeah, you get those two. You make Zendaya.
Give me a death proof with Kurt with Wyatt Russell. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, his earlier years. Yeah. And then there's another one too. Like same thing. They scrapped it, so they're not doing it anymore. But it just makes me intrigued. Where at one point, remember he was writing a Star Trek script, and then a bunch of stuff changed there and never happened. So, but even then, I'm also still. I'm also curious now going forward after he does that 10th film if we're gonna get people like going to him now, like, hey, we would like you to write this because now he's on the market, right? Like if you can work with him, if like fucking James Gunn sit him down and be like, we'd really like you because there was no. Don't laugh though for a second. There was in that they're making that Sergeant Rock movie. I think you've kind of heard about this a little bit. But anyways, in the 90s, Tarantino said he was very close to directing a Sergeant Rock movie, and there's a script where he's like, "Oh, it's one of the best scripts I ever read," and he was like readapting and everything like that. And he also at one point, not that they would ever do it, he had pitched. I can't remember who had the rights, but someone had the rights to Luke Cage, and he was pitching hard to try and direct and write a Luke Cage. I'm just saying because he's on the market, I do not think it's out of the realm of possibility. It might not happen, but I could see at some point him being attached to just write something, not direct, but write something. Because now,
and those are ones that I would actually be more cool with. Like, I don't need him directing that. Like, I'll just take his script. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Superman Mike says, I want to see what happened to Hans Landa after Bastards. It's kind of tough.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I do want more Christoph Waltz in a Tarantino thing. He's just obviously that it's a combo made in heaven, and you can't really do it with Django unless you do prequel. So, I don't know if I need that though.
Oh, right. Of Quim. Yeah, I'm like, you can do more Django. But yeah, no, bro. The what's his name?
The dentist is
the dentist. Yeah. And yeah, Superman Mike says he was supposed to do the radar Star Trek too. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, and that's where people have rumored that like the reason he just didn't do it because he didn't want his last movie to be an IP movie. The same way there's part of the reasons that some people say like he didn't want to do this because he didn't want a sequel for his last. So it's like same thing.
The movies, man.
Yeah, I know it's interesting, but yeah, we'll see. That'll be a very fun and interesting review.
I'll be there day one to see that movie. Absolutely.
It's definitely gonna have a lot of discussion of who comes back, who else they cast, what era they do, what other kind of famous people they bring up. Because obviously lots of famous people were like cast in that movie, right? Like Steve McQueen and Sharon Tate. Like, what do you do? And I think it will be a huge hit for Netflix if they can get Leo back for a scene or two, because I think that's massive. So and
I would be surprised if he did for some. I mean, I guess if Fincher, it's not like they're getting some guy off the street. Like, they're getting reputable people, but for some reason it feels like not something. I feel like he wants to be the star or nothing.
He's never worked with Fincher, which is interesting. The only time he worked with Fincher, I think, is there was like a new IMAX camera made, and to show it off, Fincher and Leo worked together to show what it would look like. But that was it, or it was like some sort of it was like just like for tech people, like to show like this is what it can do.
Demo,
yeah, exactly. So that's like the only time they've worked together. And I guess the reason why it's like the rumor is he's like in the script. What's his name? Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton. Yeah. Rumor is he's in the script, and the reason why there's some validity to this is because he's supposed to be filming that Evel Knievel movie with Damien Chazelle, but the word is he hasn't signed on to that. So people are saying that he might be like
he's gonna drop out to film 2 scenes for
or you might be putting them against each other to be like, okay, Netflix is offering me this, like, you want me to be Evel Knievel, like, and like Leo, he did. Don't forget, he's done a Netflix movie before. He did Don't Look Up. Remember a couple of years ago? So it's not like he's not Tom Cruise, where Tom Cruise is completely like, I'm not ever fucking doing streaming. Like, don't talk to me about it. Like Leo, he'll do it. So
I'll do it.
We will see. So let's take our last ad break, and then we'll be back with our final topic with some trailers, and we'll be right back. And we are back. So we got some trailers, a random bunch of trailers, so random that I forgot to watch one. I watched a few minutes of it, or a few moments, so you'll have to fill me in on it. But we have, where are we here? The Rehearsal Season 2, Naked Gun, I guess just continuation. Neighborhood Watch, which that's the one I forgot to watch. Bring Her Back, Five Nights at Freddy's teaser, and then Megan 2, which I just made you watch for a specific reason. Because at first I didn't, but I was like, you know what? This looks, and let's just start there. This looks fucking crazy. This is coming
godlike trailer. This looks
right?
Like an absolute hauler. I'm like, did you ever watch the first one?
Yeah, and it's fine. It's
okay. It's nothing like this.
Is
the vibe like this at all in terms of the just insanity of
what's weird is, so they made this movie that's very much just like an updated Chucky, right? Like an electronic doll with a kid. And what happened was the marketing made it seem like it was kind of like this, but when you watch the movie, it's pretty tame. It was just kind of fine. But Megan, the character, got like tons of memes and everything like that. Like just the idea that dance she does in the trailer. So I think they looked at that and they went, man, people reacted to in this way, memed it a lot. Let's make the second movie that. And that's where I'm hoping I like it more, because I think Taylor enjoyed it. We did a review together. I was very meh. Like I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10. Like it was just fine. But this made me actually want to see it despite me not enjoying that first one. And it's like they don't even give a fuck, because they show you the entire first movie in 15 seconds. They recap everything for you. So it's like, it's almost like they're like, not like a pun, but it's like rebooting the franchise already at like number 2. Yeah. Like it just feels like, hey, if you haven't seen the first one, doesn't matter. Here's what happened, and we're going full bonkers here. And it was wild. Like that bitch versus that bitch. Like crazy stuff. Like hold on to your vaginas. Like just like it felt random.
I loved like the horror remix of "Oops, I Did It Again" for this. With like such a great stylistic choice.
And Megan is a winner with young girls, because I had watched a trailer and then it was on my previously watched. Gwen and Logan were asking me so many questions about Megan. I said, "No, you can't watch so much later." But like that happened with the first movie, that like it was a big hit with like a younger female audience. So something about Megan just hits them. But
this screamed super fun Patreon watch along. Now I know people are probably going to see it in theaters, and maybe like it wouldn't be as exciting as when we all watch Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 for the first time together. But this just seems like that would be an insanely fun movie to watch with a group of people. Probably like, theater experience sure would be fun, but I feel like you want to sit on the couch at home with your friends.
I agree.
A beer in hand, popcorn bucket, and you just want to like have a laugh at how stupid and crazy and obscene it is. So I think I'll definitely watch this one at some point. I will probably not watch the first because, well, as you mentioned, I already got the plot. I know what's going on there. I don't need to see a 5 out of 10. But this looks great. I love the shot when she's like in the suitcase and she like unzips part of her suitcase and then like unzips the other one. It kind of reminded me of like a little Beetlejuice sort of moment there.
Oh yeah.
But also like the movie, like it is insane and crazy and gets into like sci-fi and stuff, but also does like she looks very creepy and unsettling, and so it feels like it still could be a little bit spooky at times. I don't know if it's really gonna be that scary, but like I don't know, it feels like it's got dimension to it, and like the way she's moving is pretty freaky. So I don't know, I think this looks like a hauler.
Yeah, we'll have to see because I don't think Kirkland would watch it, and I'd be willing to skip it to do, but I'll see how many other people see it. Taylor might see it, but the reason I thought there was some potential, because like in that month, it's like, so you got May's Bring Her Back, which we'll talk about in a second. I'm more and more feeling I want to see maybe in theaters. Then the week after is Life of Chuck, which I'm very excited for. And then the week after is How to Train Your Dragon, which I'm skipping. But then the week after is 20 Years Later and Elio. And then it's the F1 movie Megan. And then after that is like the 3-week stretch of Jurassic World, Superman, and Fantastic Four. So that's like, for me, it's like, yeah, that's where it's like for me.
Cinema's coming alive in that stretch there. Holy.
Or it's going to be really sad summer where all these massive movies just don't make any money.
Everything's going to be a Barbenheimer, okay?
Yeah. No, I think the summer box office is going to do well, but that's where I'm like, I'm not opposed to skipping it because there's so much. Like, I'm going to need a week off. So we'll see if Taylor, if he's not, even if other patrons watch it, and hell, you can come back and watch it again. We'll see. But I would not be opposed to watching for the first time with everybody because it's not one I have seen in theater. But yeah, it looked like a good time. But yeah, I just mentioned it. What did you think about Bring Her Back? You may talked about like a teaser they released, which was very, like cryptic. But here is like, luckily I think smart. They're not giving like massive plot stuff, but just a bit more shading of what's going on. I think I've figured at least a portion of it out. Not like what the twist is, just like what's going on. But what do you think of this one?
I'm blanking on the name of the movie from this team's previous movie. Yeah, Talk to Me. Really, really enjoyed Talk to Me. Another fantastic trailer. This is a movie I guarantee I'm like gonna struggle to fall asleep that night after I watch it.
Oh yeah,
the creepy faces always get me, bloody faces and like especially like kid creepy faces. So this one looks terrifying. I think the cinematography is fantastic. Like just a lot of really like close shots, a lot of different types of shots. It feels like there's a mix of like found footage stuff in there too, which is like very tasteful and like stylized and whatnot. So I think this looks terrifying. Acting looks great. I don't know if I'm gonna race to the theater for it just because I feel like I'm gonna be. I don't live near the theater anymore, Travis. So I gotta be more picky of what I go see. But I think this looks fantastic. I'm really excited to check this one out. Looks like maybe the best horror movie of the year. I would put that moniker on it, I think.
Really? I can't remember where.
Give me a counterexample.
I thought, were you high or not on the 28 Days Later trailer?
I don't know if I've seen
Or
that
20
trailer,
years. Okay, maybe you weren't on that newscast.
and I haven't
okay.
seen those previous movies, so
That's true.
I'm a little green in that one, but I'm sure that looks good too, right?
So you're saying it wasn't Five Nights at Freddy's?
No, that's we're the great Maddie Sags asked for a ranking here. I'll spoil my ranking quickly. Freddie's right at the bottom.
Yeah. The only one we haven't seen a trailer for it yet, but did you, because I can't remember, I think this is like I can't remember if you saw it or not. I feel like it was right when you're coming back. Barbarian. You saw that one, right? I think you had to watch it for Golden Geeks.
Barbarian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I watched it again
Okay.
a few months ago, actually, just for the heck of it.
So at CinemaCon, we haven't got the trailer yet, but that's where I'm waiting to, because I used to give you example. I don't have anything to show
He's
you.
doing
but
Resident Evil, right? Is that where you're building up to?
No. I'm building up
Oh.
to his movie coming out this summer called Weapons, and it's a movie where it's a teacher. Julia Garner plays a teacher, and I guess what happens is, so has her, let's say 12 students, regular school day, they go home, and then in the middle of the night, all these kids go missing, only from her class. Which is and apparently some people said like it was looking really good. So I'm just thinking I just like that pitch of like, is that a serial killer? Is that a supernatural thing? I think also with Barbarian, there's like kind of a mix of the two. But like, and because it's not like, oh yeah, all the kids in school. It's like, no, just this one teacher, and that. So like, they haven't released it, but I've heard it looks really good. So that's one. But
That director is doing Resident Evil though, or am I just blanking?
Yes, yeah. That's
Okay.
next for him. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think that's one of the reasons why he got Resident Evil, because rumors this movie's just testing very well. And
Yeah,
people are
I kind of
trusting
forgot
it.
about this movie, or maybe this is the first I'm hearing about it. But that sounds good. I like that concept.
It got moved up. That's why I think it was maybe even like January of next year. But apparently Warner Brothers is very confident in it, and they like what they got.
They're like,
So,
rush that CGI. We're getting that puppy in theaters right now.
Yeah, I suppose that's right as you started talking about this movie, the power complete went out in my house for
That is-
a jump scare.
That's crazy.
That's scary. And yeah, no, this trailer, I like what Dylan said.
Sorry
There's
about
lots
that. I
of
suppose.
gross imagery, lots of scary imagery. I think
Bloody
now,
eyes. Oh, plasma everywhere. Plasma
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
I think with them talking about like, oh, when you're dead, the soul's with you for a little bit. I think and with the tapes they're watching and the things that are drawing the circles, I don't think this is the full kid and caboodle, but I think it is going to be something to do with exorcism / possession. I know Talk to Me had that, but I mean like more
Gotta
so
bring
in
it back.
like, bring it back, but more so of like, it's kind of like a Conjuring or The Exorcist, where that is the main focus of. Maybe that sounds too much like Talk to Me, but what I got from this trailer is maybe they were trying to bring somebody back, but then the wrong person came back and the body isn't living in that body. I don't know. Like I said, that was my worry with the teaser. Like it looked very similar, but the imagery looks great. So same thing like you said, I don't know if I'll be there in theaters, but I'm edging more there because it just looks really great. And Talk to Me, I didn't see in theaters, but I kind of regret it because it's like, I just wasn't sure, but that's a busy month. So that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, I got to be picky and choosy when it comes to that time there. Yeah, I agree with Dylan. Freaker Friday, or not Freaker Friday, Five Nights at Freddy. I just threw this in here because I actually thought it was going to be longer, but it wasn't. But I did not enjoy that movie at all. And there's an example of, I feel like Megan and Five Nights I liked Megan more, but I felt pretty similar. And Megan has like a trailer where like, okay, even if it ends up being bad, they sold me on this. This is a teaser, but I just feel like this is gonna be more of the same, and I did not enjoy the first one. It was not what it should have been. I think it could have been a lot more fun, but it made lots of money, and that has a big fan base. Yeah, that's a big fan base and big in the lore. So you got that going on. Tell me about Neighborhood Watch. I forgot to watch that one.
So when I was watching this trailer, what it seemed like to me, I was like, oh, this smells like a movie that's like day one Paramount Plus. Like, so I was shocked to see in theaters April 17th or whatever. This movie's gonna eat it. This movie's gonna do worse than Night of the Zootopia or whatever that movie Kirkland has on his draft. That
Night of the
made no money.
Zoopocalypse.
Sorry, yeah, that's the one.
Was it looking bad?
This is, I don't know. It just looked so generic and kind of uninspired, and just like it looked kind of like low budget too. Like like there's like bad CGI because it's just people walking around a city, but it just seemed like really basic by the numbers kind of thing. So I'm not into this. Won't be checking this one out. Man, I feel like, is Jack Quaid just in like every other movie?
Working.
He's insane.
He had Companion at the start of the year, and then he had Novocaine last month, and now he has this coming up. He's a lot, and he's filming The Boys too. So, and I like Jack Quaid. I'll have to watch this trailer. I like Jack Quaid, and I really like Jeffrey Dean Moore. I take that back.
What's he been doing? What's he been doing since the last few years? Has he done anything good?
Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
He's still playing Negan on Walking Dead, so he's still got that going on.
Really? Like,
Yeah, they didn't make they gave him a spin-off show.
that's currently airing on TV?
Yeah.
That's
The-
insane to me.
The spin-off, did you used to watch Walking Dead?
I'm a classic one. I'm the classic guy who like stopped watching when we got to the farm in season 2.
Okay. They in the show you probably know this, that he kills Glenn, right, with a baseball bat. Like
I don't even remember who Glenn is.
Stephen Yeun.
Okay.
Very famous,
I
controversial.
didn't know he died, so that was a spoiler, but it's fine.
You're never getting there. I'm surprised you've not been spoiled by this at all, because that's a very controversial moment for the show, because what they did was, in the comics he does do that, but in the show they made it look like it could be anybody, like the way they set it up. But the problem was it was a cliffhanger, and it was the season finale cliffhanger, so everyone was really
This is
pissed
sounding
about
familiar,
it.
actually. I think I
Yes.
do remember this now.
Everyone was really pissed about it. So you had those people, because like, so everyone thought, okay, they're probably not going to kill Stephen Yeun, because if they would have done a cliffhanger, we all know the finale, like what happens in the comics. So it's probably something different. You get to the episode, nah, Stephen Yeun just gets killed, like same old like the comics. And then the other controversial thing was, for other people, even though they're watching The Walking Dead, I'll give them credit. It was a very gruesome scene. Like, they did not hold back. Like, they have his head sunken in, his eyes popping out. He's like talking to his wife. Like, it's very gruesome. And a lot of people put that as the moment that they like, that was too far for them, kind of like just too gross. So for multiple reasons, that kind of killed the show. But what happened is, now the spinoff show is, for some reason, he has to work together with Glenn's wife, and they're a team in the show.
Is there more seasons of Walking Dead and its spin-offs, or Dexter at this point?
Walking Dead for sure, because I went on for a while, and I think Walking Dead has 3 spin-off shows and a mini series. Oh no, I think it's 4 spin-off shows. I think they did
Dexter had 7 seasons, 2 New Bloods, Resurrection. That's quite a lot.
An Original Sin, yeah. No, Walking Dead went on for a while. They had the Daryl Dixon show. They got the Negan and Maggie show. They got a show that has other main characters, and then they have like an anthology show. And then they did
realize. I knew it was still going on to some extent, but this is wild to me.
And then they did a Rick and Michonne miniseries as well to end their stories.
Wow.
So yeah, people are still there. I guess.
I have not been served a single ad for this show in at least a decade. This is crazy to me.
What did you think about Naked Gun? I know
transition. Yeah. Fantastic trailer. I love this. I have heard about Naked Gun, but I've never seen it. Don't know anything about it. It seems like they kind of know what their tone is here. I'm guessing all the people that are looking at the posters are like the people who are in the original one.
Yes.
Is Liam Neeson not in the original one?
No.
Oh, okay. Great trailer. I think it looks super fun. It kind of has like a 22 Jump Street sort of energy to it, or 21 Jump Street, like the remake there. I think it looks fun. I don't know. I don't really like. What is the first one kind of like this in terms of the tone, like the original?
Yeah, there's 4 of them, and they are all spoof cop movies. What happened was Leslie Nielsen. Have you ever seen Airplane?
No.
Okay, so that's a spoof.
I've seen Cars though.
It's in that, which is funny when we watch Top Secret. It was all in this era where they made these kind of like what people consider the creme de la creme spoof movies, and then it went bad, and then Scary Movie came out and it came back from it, then it went bad. But Leslie Nielsen was a very dramatic actor, and he had he played a character in Airplane, which was a spoof movie. He played him seriously, but it was very comedic, and then his career completely changed where they put him in Naked Gun, and they made 4 of them, and they're all, I think the last one kind of tapers off, but they're all very clever, very well done, and they're all very much not exactly this type of humor, but all spoofy and were successful. So now they're doing this, and like the character that Frank's son was born like 1994, and like Liam Neeson, 72-year-old, is playing his son. Like, they don't care. But for me, this is a franchise. This is a classic like son and dad franchise. I grew up watching these with my dad. He showed me them. I don't know why. I think he just liked them. I have to ask him. Maybe it's like a him and his dad. So I hope we can see in the theater. But this is one, Dylan, I've been worried about for ever since they announced it. Even though Liam Neeson, I recommend everyone watch what is it Extras or what I just saved in my phone. Liam Neeson a couple years ago guest starred on a show. It's a show that Ricky Gervais does. Hang on, what is it? It is Extras. Okay. Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Warwick Davis. He has a 4-minute scene where he is trying to learn improv comedy. Watch it. It's one of the funniest things ever. And he's done other comedy stuff. He is so good at the dry humor. And especially he has like a similar career to Leslie Nielsen, where it's like he's more known for a dramatic actor, and he's doing this. So all the pieces were there, but I thought for sure when this came up, it was going to be dog shit. I was really worried. One, like, I liked the girl joke enough. That was fun. But I, for two reasons, really liked the, oh, Dad, I'm thinking about you. And then have every cop doing that. And then them all just lined up. But then this is where I knew we're in for a good set. Because then they go to fucking O.J. Simpson. And they have the guy go to the camera like, not going to say anything. And it just cuts.
Is that who that was? Okay. I don't know what he looks like.
Because he's in all the Top Guns before he was a murderer, is O.J. Simpson.
Top Gun or Naked Gun?
Sorry, Naked Gun. He was in those as like a very comedic character, and that's when he was going to be breaking out. Like, he was originally who James Cameron wanted for the Terminator before Arnold. Like, he was starting to have a big career. So the idea that they had this, so that's where it's like, okay, the gloves, I know it said Seth MacFarlane, but still it's like, okay, the gloves are completely off. Like, this showed me everything I want from a Naked Gun movie. So I will be there. I don't think I would have been there day one if it was looking bad. Now I have to be there day one. I'm very, very excited for this. And even then, one of my favorite wrestlers in there, Cody Rhodes, is in there as well. This was
Roadster.
Yeah, even though this teaser's just like a minute and 2 seconds, told me everything I need to know, and I'm very excited for this.
Nice.
And I'm very excited for our last trailer, The Rehearsal, which I've not seen season one.
God.
Dylan did tell me that, like, I don't have to watch it, but I will, because for years, just because I'm busy, but I've talked about this on cast, Dylan kept telling me, watch Nathan For You, and I don't know why. I don't know how last year it came on, but it was there, clicked it, binged that whole thing in like a couple days. It went very fast.
So good.
What else has he done? I thought there was another thing of his.
Curse.
Okay, Cursed. I guess it was just Rehearsal.
The
I hadn't
Night Before.
watched. So, yeah, Night Before retroactively now, more funnier. But I've said before, I'm a massive Sacha Baron Cohen fan. To me, he's like that modern day version of that, where just even now, like, this trailer is talking about topical stuff with these planes, everything, and doing jokes from like, oh my God, I don't know if you should be going there, but I can't wait. I'm getting craved. And this looked great. Again, it has like a weird, mysterious vibe that like it shouldn't, but like, what, give me the, like, you don't have to spoil anything, but what is like the elevator pitch for The Rehearsal? And then what do you think about this? If you didn't know, yeah, I'm fully in. I'm sure me and Dylan will talk about this in like the what you've been watching section. I can't wait for more of this. And I really enjoyed The Curse, but I do love when he's in this field of like the mockumentary type of real but fake sort of thing. You know, I think it's in his wheelhouse here. But.
Yeah. I mean, you never know with Nathan how much is intentional. You never know. Like, he's always kind of, picking scenes or things like this that he's kind of cherry picking like the craziest scenes, right? From like all these things that he films. I feel like the initial pitch of Rehearsal, like I'll give you the example of like, I think the first episode or something like that is like, there's this guy who has like he goes like to trivia night with his friends, and like he's been lying to them about that he didn't go to like this certain like he didn't actually go to this college, but he's been telling his friends that he went to this college for like 10 years. And so he goes to Nathan and he's like, I need help to like tell my friends that I've been lying to them. So then Nathan like recreates this whole bar and like casts all of his friends with actors and like helps the guy practice the scenario and like all the sequences that could happen. And then the series, like, it starts with that, and there's a couple of those sort of episodes, and then it just follows into this other thing that he really goes deep on like one thing. So I'll say it that way without spoiling too much
perfect.
more.
That's all I need.
But that's what the concept is, and this feels so different than that. Like, I guess it's kind of that same idea where it's
there's
like
a couple times you can see it.
Like this guy historically had come up with this idea to like help people practice when a plane crashes what you should do, and so he's kind of like bringing that thing to life. So it is. I'm just surprised the show's coming back at all, honestly. I not in terms of like, I don't know how well that first one did, but I thought, okay, he did Nathan For You, he did a season of Rehearsal, and then he went on to do The Curse. We know he's doing that like chess movie with Emma Stone or something. So I just thought like Rehearsal was going to be a one and done kind of thing. And so I'm just glad to see it coming back, even if it, I don't know, it's like it doesn't feel like a sequel, like another season in the same way that Nathan For You gets like multiple seasons. So, but I think the biggest takeaway for me here was like, I just love how people keep giving Nathan more money to make things, because this looks like the most expensive thing he's done by far, and he's in like courtrooms and he's recreating huge sets now. And like when he's just walking in like the rubble of this plane at the end, I was just dying laughing. And even like the first line he has where he's just like explaining the concept, he just gets me with his like, dry sense of humor as well. So yeah, I can't wait for this. This came out of nowhere. I didn't know this was happening. Maybe this was announced, but I feel like to not know this was happening and then get a trailer, and that's how I'm learning about it, is a really great 1-2 punch. And it's coming out soon, right? So I'm like, hell
April
yeah.
20th. So that's why
That's
17
insane.
days.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't known that it was this, but it's known he's working on something because he's recently been, I can't remember what it was. She's completely get me wrong here. It's some stockbroker or someone to do with money that did fraud, and she was put in prison, and he's been apparently visiting her. Like people have this came out like last month on a show I listened to that has a scoop that talked about this, and that was one of the scoops that like whoever this lady is, because even when I said the name, Emily's like, oh, I know who that criminal is. So it's something that was like famous in the news media for a bit, and he's been visiting her for some reason. I'm like, oh man, like, and I told Emily about that, and she's like, is this what this is? I'm like, he doesn't show her, but I'm sure it is.
Once again, like this season does seem like it's all focused on this one scenario, whereas the first season, like I said, it started out where it was like each episode's going to be its own scenario, and then it just kind of drifts past that. I think he just kind of followed the craziness that was happening. But yeah, I wonder if like maybe there is multiple episodes, or we just only kind of saw one concept,
which is risky to focus on. Like I know that's what he likes to do is risk, but it's just like so many plane crashes at the beginning of this year that people died. So it's like it's one of these things where it's almost like if it was even next year, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's not like a fresh wound, but like there's legitimately people that are gonna be watching HBO and it's gonna come up, and like they've maybe lost people. It's like they're walking on some really eggshelly situations here, you know?
Yeah. Once again, not to like spoil Rehearsal season 1, but like, you know, in Nathan For You, there are certain scenarios where it's like, okay, is he going too far? Is he being like mean spirited to these people? And it's like, it's never really like problematic. In Rehearsal, it gets like a little iffy. Like, oh my God, Nathan, you really need to fucking tone it down. And so I don't know. I feel like this seems kind of on par with that. So he's kind of been going there already, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. I can't wait for this. Super cool.
We'll see. To end us off here, Mike, Patreon, of course I'm going to answer this question. Do you guys think Naked Gun will do well at the box office? Obviously, my asterisk is like, I can't answer till I know the budget. I looked up, there's no where the budget is. I imagine it can't be massive. Like I imagine they got them like made it for like a fine amount of money. Yeah. Comes out August 1st. The movies that are coming out in August are The Bad Guys 2. So that's a kids movie. That's different. And Together. That's that horror movie with James Franco and Alison Brie.
Oh, that was
that's
great
her name.
too.
Yeah, she's Alison Brie. Okay. Then the week after that's Weapons and Freakier Friday. Week after that's Nobody 2. And the week after that's Toxic Avenger. So it's like in that August realm where people put a lot of movies in August because they don't always do the greatest, but always one breaks away. I'll say this. I think it will be...
Does Liam Neeson, does he evoke, does he titillate an audience? Like, does he get people in seats these days?
Well, he made so many of those actions movie, he must, right? Like, how many of those, like, after Taken, where it's always, like, him on a poster? So that's why I think this will, unless we come back and it's like, this is a $60 million budget, like, I think this has to be somewhere like 40 and under. I think there's enough people that like Liam Neeson that'll see this and get the joke of like, oh, like I love his movies, and now he's kind of like spoofing them. So I'll just say it'll be fine. It'll make a profit. What I think the budget is right now, but I don't know how many comedies are like doing well nowadays. Like it's very tough. Like we just talked about this. I was talking about this with Taylor because he didn't see Anyone But You, but it's like I can't think of comedies that have done very well at the box office. You know,
I'll say 220 million.
Oh my, no way.
Is that big? Is that too big?
I think that's big for just a comedy in August. I think
like for a Liam Neeson like starring role, like Taken, this probably crushed 200.
Okay, let's just quickly do this before.
Or at least one of them did. I don't know.
Taken was in 2009, Dylan. That's almost 20 years ago now. I'm gonna look and see what his last.
Oh my God, don't say that. That hurts. That's weird to hear.
It was. We're getting closer to it being 22 decades ago. Let me just give me his filmography, Wikipedia. My God.
Wikipedia. Chill.
Jeez, he's had a lot. His personal life, activism. Jeez, second career. Okay.
He had a controversy at some point, I think.
He did.
Most people do.
he did the right steps, and he did apologize for it. Okay. But it was.
I don't even know what it was.
But.
We don't need to get into it. It's fine.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Hang on, I can't find. Okay,
are
list
you
of his
looking for
filmography.
right now?
His
Okay,
filmography. Trust. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the last 5 movies of his and see what they made here. Okay.
Okay.
So, not TV.
But I also know I'll look up what Taken did. Because I feel like
Yeah,
that movie
Taken
was
was huge.
huge. That did 226 million.
Anything
And that was in 2008 money, so I guess it would be
okay, so
like
even
more now.
less. Okay. Okay, so look at these. What is Wildcat? I'm trying to pick the one
Taken
where he's
2,
starring.
376 million.
Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, I'm picking his action movies one to give him some of the. Oh my God, some of these.
These
are-
Taken movies are crushing it. Even the third one made over 300 million.
Yeah, and they stopped. Okay, so his last 6, Absolution 2024 made 4.2 million. In the Land of Saints and Sinners made 3.2 million.
No, you can't just make up movie titles here, Travis.
Retribution made 18.7 million. Memory made 14 million. Blacklight made 16 million. Ice Road made 7 million.
Ice
So Night of
Road?
Zoopocalypse.
He was not in a
numbers.
movie called Ice Road.
He was. And then The Marksman made $24 million.
Oh,
So I'm gonna go
it's
off
looking
the bat.
bleak. I'll drop down to 180. I'll still go high, but
I'm
that's-
gonna say below 65 million.
okay. I don't feel. I'm not pizza betting this, by the way. This is
No,
just
don't
off
worry.
the
Oh,
cuff.
apparently there is a sequel in production called Ice Road 2, Road to the
No.
Sky. Yeah, Road to the
No,
Sky. He's in
I
it
don't believe
too.
you.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be lower than 50 million. There you go.
Wow.
All right.
Crazy.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back in the near future next week. I think it's me and Taylor doing some news. So there you go. Mike, to end it off here, A Million Ways in the West that made 87 million, but he was not the main star of that. That was a long time ago, but maybe he can get that as Seth MacFarlane. So yeah, but we'll be back next week. Daredevil, Side Quest, Weekly Geek, whatever may drop. And I promise you, it'll not be boring.
See ya.